This is the
Members, we are now in open session. I will invite the public into the gallery. Everyone is welcome to today's meeting of the Public Accounts Committee. Mobile phones must be set to airplane mode and on silent or turned off. It is not sufficient to put mobiles on silent mode as they continue to interfere with the Assembly recording. The session is being recorded in video and audio and can be accessed by way of online streaming either on the Assembly website or on Democracy Live. Use of electronic devices is permitted, and members of the public are welcome to connect to Wi-Fi. To do this, you engage airplane mode, then manually switch on Wi-Fi by way of your settings. Item number 1, apologies. Members, I have received apologies from our chairperson, Ms Michaela Boyle, Mr Murphy and Mr Flanagan and Mr Girvan, and I also understand that Ms Hannah will be here later. Are members aware of any further apologies? Item 2. Minutes of the meeting of the 17th of February 2016. Members, the minutes of your last meeting can be found at page 5 of your electronic packs. Are you content for the draft minutes to be signed into the record? I have done that. Item number 3, matters arising. There are no new matters arising. Item 4, correspondence. There is no new correspondence to discuss. Item 5, correspondence received from the Treasury Officer of Accounts regarding the MOR on the inquiry into DRD, the effectiveness of public transport in Northern Ireland. Members, at page 12 of your electronic packs, you will find a letter dated the 10th of February from the TOA with regard to the recent memorandum of reply on the inquiry into DRD, the effectiveness of public transport. If members recall, we agreed to write back to Ms Caldwell to seek clarification and further information around the responses to recommendations 2, 8 and 9 of the MOR. With regards to recommendation 2, Ms Caldwell has provided the up-to-date figures from the Department on concessionary fares usage for the period 2014-15. It shows a breakdown of the fare type over this period and shows, interestingly, that out of approximately 22 million concessionary fares, the majority of type ticket is either children or the over 60s. Figures compiled from private operators are due to be published by the Department for the year 15-16 in June this year and published on the Department's website. Referencing recommendation 8, after further consideration, the Department is still of the view that asking accounting officers to ensure that their car parking policies are not inconsistent and do not undermine the wider strategic aim of raising the profile of public transport is an appropriate response. Furthermore, she has added that it would not be appropriate for the Department to undertake a review of the provision of free car parking facilities for public servants in Belfast, given the fact that DFP have no control over car parking facilities for other departments. Finally, in response to recommendation 9, she continues that the recent 2016-17 budget demonstrated the Executive's support for major public transport schemes, with the inclusion of both the Belfast Rapid Transport Scheme and the Belfast Transport Hub, with funding allocation until 2025. Kieran, do you have any comments on this letter?
Not a lot to add. Sure. I think it's useful on recommendation 2 to have that more detailed breakdown of concessionary fares and the usage. The committee is obviously getting no traction on the recommendation on free car parking for public servants. And it's interesting, probably there's a new argument has come up here where I think DFP is saying it's not a current priority area for review for DFP. So I don't think they're going to move on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the main.
Roy?
DFP seem to be saying it's not their role, but I understood that their DFP secures all office accommodation on behalf of the rest of the civil service, and with that frequently goes the car parking arrangements that goes perhaps with the rent of certain offices. If it's not their role, whose role is it?
Well, that means it falls between. There's no one then can actually take a coordinated.
Yeah, and by the way, if civil servants need their job as part of their daily, need a car as part of their daily duties, so they understand why car parking facilities have to be provided. So, but it's for those that do not need to leave the premises. The question is, why are a large number of car parking spaces being provided at public expense?
Any other member?
So, I mean, how do we pursue the issue if they're saying it's not their role? Because
I think it's interesting that there's two arguments. They're saying it's not their role, and also that it's not considered a priority area for review. There's a bit of a contradiction between the 2 points. I suspect really this is one they don't want to do.
Considering what Roy said, would it be appropriate, and what Kieran has said, would it be appropriate to write back asking them, is it a priority or is it not their role?
Or should we write to the head of the civil service and ask whose role is it?
Or both?
I think that's more. Where does this fall? I suppose. Yeah, you could do. Yes. Yeah.
Well, do you want to propose that, Roy?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roy.
Just write to the head of the civil service, given this response that we've got, and asking whose role is it?
Say, just.
Whose role is it to determine
We are in a state of confusion given the most recent correspondence, which appears to be inconsistent. Claiming on the one hand it's not a priority, on the other hand it's not the responsibility. And then perhaps asking the direct question, whose responsibility is it? All agreed? So, we move on then. Members, for the remaining items of business, it is necessary that we move into closed session. Are members content that we now move into closed session?
Agreed.
We are now in closed.
Committee Room 29.